everybody, it's Christina from Creations with Christina, and welcome to video number 2 in our Handmade for the Holiday series. Today we're going to be making a card holder display board for home decor, and we're going to be using this big board right here, which I got for 40 or 70% off. It was only $7.50 right after the end of the fall season and before they put out the Christmas stuff. So this board actually is a board that has, so it lays horizontally, so it has 2 of the little hanger hooks, plus this I think was probably for the displaying hanging up at the store hook. But I'm actually going to have Scott move these over to the side because I want my board to actually go vertically. So I'm going to do this upside down today, and I have already tested a couple different ways on how I want to put my sentiment on here. I tried a stencil, and I was going to go ahead and do a chalk paint season's greeting on here. Unfortunately, that didn't work because the texture of the wood was so much that the stencil wouldn't stick to the wood and the chalk paint just kind of seeped underneath. Thankfully, I was able to wipe it off and didn't waste the board. So now we're going to go ahead and try it with vinyl. So I'm going to give you all of the supplies that we're going to use. So we need some sort of board for our display. This one measures 14 by 24. You're going to need adhesive vinyl. I'm using foil vinyl. This is in gunmetal by Cricut. Transfer tape, which I'm also using the transfer tape from Cricut as well. Twine. A scraper for adhering our vinyl down. A picky tool, which I already went ahead and pulled all of the parts and weeded out the parts of my sentiment. So you'll need this when you're doing it, but I'm not going to use it today. And then what you're going to do is what you're also going to need are some little clothespins or something for hooking your cards onto the twine. I got this idea from Hobby Lobby when I was recently there. I saw a similar board to this and I thought, I think I have everything to do this at home. And I believe the board at Hobby Lobby was $30. I'm going to be able to make this for a couple bucks because, like I said, I had most of the supplies at home, especially just recently purchased this board right after the holidays, thinking I might want to use it for something Christmas related. And even though it's more of a horizontal board, I'm going to use it vertically. I'm just going to take my transfer tape and we're going to put it right over our sentiment. Now, normally, I just did that completely wrong. What you should do is kind of drop it in the middle and then pull your sides out from that way, but I didn't do that, so it's all right. It seems to work out. So we're put our transfer tape over our sentiment. I'm going to take my little squeegee to make sure that my vinyl is going to stick to my transfer tape. And then we're going to pull the backing off of our vinyl. And as we pull it off, we're just going to go slowly and make sure our vinyl is sticking to our transfer tape. So I got an S right here that's not sticking. I did cut this out with the Cricut Maker, so you can see how nicely done the sentiment is because that maker does amazing cuts on vinyl. The other thing I did was I did design this on Design Space. So at the very end of this video, I will have a little quick tutorial on how I put this together. We're going to go ahead and adhere this down. I'm going to put this up towards the top. Now it's going to be upside down because I can't reach the other end of the board from my desk. And we're going to go ahead and just make sure this is adhered down as best we can do. Again, I am working on a very textured piece of wood, so hopefully this vinyl is going to stick to this as well as possible. I'm going to keep scraping this down, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and peel off our transfer tape. Alright, so I'm just going to grab my transfer tape. Yay, it's sticking. I am so excited. Now, the only thing is that because this is a slotted board, some of the letters are going to go through the cracks. Now what you can do is just take a little X-Acto knife and adhere those or cut them out if you want to. However, I'm just going to leave them. I'm okay that they're that way. So this one's not sticking because the very edge of this is right at the end of the board. I am just slowly peeling this back at an angle. I am so excited about this because you guys have no idea what I've been through with trying to get this lettering to stick, or actually with doing the stencil. So one thing I was going to do was put this in an angle. So it's probably crooked, which might be good enough. I was going to angle it a lot more. I think I was just so excited to see about getting these to stick. Now, one thing you can do if you want to is put a layer of Mod Podge over the top of this, just to make sure that you are keeping it preserved if you want to use this from year to year. I'm actually thinking about not putting anything on top of it, and then maybe peeling off these letters for the next holiday and using this again for the same thing for card display. Because we know we get so many different cards for birthdays and Mother's Day and Father's Day and all of that, that it might be good to maybe reuse this. So it doesn't have to be just a one-time, you know, project here. So we're just gonna go ahead and turn this around, and let me get you so that you can see this at a better angle. And it is pretty slanted, so I'm glad, because I was so excited about trying to get that to stick. All right, so our next thing we're going to do is we're gonna add twine. The twine is gonna actually serve as our way for clipping our photos onto our board. I had my the staple gun in my craft room not too long ago, but we are just gonna try with doing this without the staple gun. However, if you want to, you probably would want to get a staple gun and put this on here. So I'm just gonna wrap this around a couple of times. If you have a thicker twine, that would be fine too. And flip my board over, and we're going to go ahead and tie this into a knot. You can also, that's why I'm thinking the staple gun might be good, because you can staple the string into place and keep those so they're not sliding all over the place up and down the board, especially as you put your cards on it. So we're going to just tie a simple little knot, and that's it. How easy is that? So you can leave this just like it is. Like I said, I do have to take these clips off and move them so they're up at the top of my board, but that is an easy little task there for my husband. And there we go. So cute little display. Now I did find these clips at the Target dollar spot, and unfortunately they only had one. I would have purchased two of them. They're $1 a piece. You can easily use these to hold your cards onto your display. You can also just get those little tiny craft ones in red or green or whatever color you want to do. But I thought this was going to be a really cool way to display those holiday photos that you get of your family and friends, and there you go. So that is my board. It's really, really super simple, but you can definitely decorate this up in so many different ways. I was thinking if you wanted to, you can even use maybe some of this red and white twine that you can get at Michael's and use that as your string. And then you can even use some ribbon, which I have this big roll of ribbon on hand because I just got done making wreaths for outside of our house, and you could definitely use this as a hanger for your board as well. So that'll definitely add a pop of color. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will leave at the very end of this video the instructions on how I set this up in Design Space. Again, all the supplies are listed below in the YouTube description and on my blog if you want to check them out. And here's the quick tutorial on how to set your season's greetings up in Cricut Design Space. We're going to use Cricut Design Space to set up our season's greeting sentiment that we put on our board. So let me show you how I set this up. I already have a canvas opened, and I'm just going to go ahead and select text. Type in seasons, and I'm going to do a separate text for greetings. So we have our season's greeting sentiment, and now I want to change the font. I used a font by Cricut. I'm not 100% sure how to say this. It's the Bickley or Bikely, not 100% sure font. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to change both of these to be the same font. And now what I need to do is play with my spacing. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the letter spacing, and we're going to also need to do a little bit more work with the letters individually. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to make this a little bit easier for you to see on the screen, because I don't want to be changing my sizes just yet. I selected seasons, and I'm going to go ahead and do my advanced and ungroup the letters, because this S, very last S here, isn't quite lining up correctly, and this S is going into the center of the O. So we're going to go ahead and grab our O and just slide it over a little bit. We'll have to do the same thing with our N, and that pretty much helped us line our S up. I'm going to move my apostrophe down, which I lost somewhere in the putting together of this video. I have no idea where it went, so I'm gonna have to recut this one and add it to my board. We're gonna go ahead now and select, now each of these letters are individual, so we're gonna go ahead and select them all just by highlighting over them, and then you can hit group or weld. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit weld, and now that's made it into one word. We're gonna take our greetings text, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna letter space, and we're going to go down to reduce our letter spacing. And this one needs a little bit more work as far as spacing. The first couple letters do work out pretty well, but once we get to ing, we do have to play with this a little bit. We're going to go up to advanced and ungroup our letters, and then we can start moving our letters over. I'm just going to go ahead and slide my I over, and the N pretty much lines up, and then we just have to scroll or move our G over. We're going to select them all and hit weld. Now sometimes when you hit weld, some of your letters might intersect too much and give you a blackened out area. So I have to do a little bit more moving around. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo what I just did, or Command if you're on Mac. And I'm going to actually take this letter E and just kind of nudge it over a little bit, because the E before it is creating a little bit of an inside block on here, and that's what's causing our letter to fill in. So I'm just going to select them all and hit weld, and I can see this E is now able to cut out correctly. Ungroup just by Command G or Control Z or Command Z, and we're going to slide our G over, highlight that again, and hit weld. And oop, that almost did it. We got to do this one. I did have to play with a little bit more. So I really had to play with my positioning of my letter G to get it so this middle section, middle part of the G wasn't filling in. So I did finally get it. I'm going to now go ahead and take my sentiment and kind of lay it out how I want it to be on my board. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and group these all together by highlighting all of them and hitting attach. And now my board is 14 inches wide, so I am going to kind of play with this. I think what I'm going to do is just set this up so that it's 12 inches. So I'm going to take my width here of 12 inches and just type in the number 12 and hit the tab button, and that's going to go ahead and take this into the size that I want it to be. So I'm going to zoom out because we were still zoomed in pretty close. So now my sentiment is about 12 inches. I didn't really worry about the height of it. I just let it be proportion, and it's all set to go. I'm going to go ahead and save this project. I will link it down below in the YouTube description if you just want to go ahead and grab this and use this for your card display. It's all ready to go. I will do a little bit more tweaking to make it a little bit more perfect because I just did a really fast fast layout of this, but I will tweak it up. Link to it down below in the description and over on my blog if you want to grab it. Don't forget all the supplies are listed down below in the YouTube description. And I thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to give today's video a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe so you can be updated when I post new videos. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!